I'd like to invite up all of our speakers and colleagues and partners in this. Okay, let's see. I'm going to get organized here, make sure I have everyone. Okay, good morning. It's a great morning, actually. I don't want to lose all my papers here. I want to thank the residents, first and foremost, of the Foley Apartments for having us here today. What an important example of community and how important it is to provide the housing that people can build a thriving foundation and life on, and the many ways that the seniors and residents here are constantly building and creating and adding to our vibrant community. We are thankful. I also want to recognize many colleagues who we will hear from shortly. I'm going to invite everyone to come up and say a few words briefly, but I'll go down the line here. Rep. Miranda, Councilor and Senator Edwards, Rep. Fluker Oakley, Rep. Elugardo, Councilor Lara, Councilor Arroyo, Rep. Consalvo. I also want to thank our Chief, Sheila Dillon, Chief of Housing. Thank you so much for your leadership on this for many years. I see Director of the Boston Housing Authority, Kate Bennett, in the House. Many staff and teams, and I'm looking around for other city chiefs and others. Nick Arnello, our assessor. Okay. Other staff all around from the Office of Housing and Neighborhood Services and our comms shop as well. Thank you to so many affordable housing and tenant activists who are here in the room. We're going to be partnering on many things moving forward. This is an important day. Tim Davis, of course, our Deputy Director of Policy Development. Thank you. I want to thank Patrick Lee and Trinity for hosting us here at the Foley as well. And just recognize that this, most of all, is a thank you to the Boston City Council. We are here following an overwhelming vote on the council this week to pass and send up to the State House our amended transfer fee home rule petition. Thank you, Council. This is another run that we are making at this legislation in a moment that is more important than ever. And Councilor Edwards has been instrumental in leading this in previous sessions, along with Mayor Janey, along with Councilor Bach, and many others. And so we are building on that work, and we are making sure that we are putting every possible resource to seizing on this moment. This legislation is an important step in making Boston a city where we live up to our promise that a safe, healthy, affordable home is a human right for everyone. Wednesday's vote is an affirmation of that value and a charge for us to do more and to do better for all of our residents. So many of us continue to live with COVID affecting so many aspects of our lives. And now is a moment where housing continues to be life or death. Housing continues to be health, opportunity, safety, and the baseline to live and build a family. We know this is the moment for us to secure sustainable long-term funding for affordable housing in Boston. Now, some might say that this is a moment of tremendous support from the federal government. We have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to spend that funding. That is an opportunity we will make the most of every single dollar, and we already have. We've had several announcements also of historic investments at Mildred Haley Apartments of $40 million going to create hundreds of units across the city. And this will just begin to chip away at the housing crisis that Boston has been facing since long before COVID-19. So now is not the moment for us to say we have a brief bit of hope, and so let's kick the can down the road, but more than ever to lean in and say, look what's possible with what we've already seen we can do with these amazing federal funds that will last potentially a year, maybe a little more, but not much longer than that. We cannot wait in this moment to take the opportunity to really add a very, very small transaction fee at the point of sale for housing in an amount that represents a very doable purchase price and sale, to then immediately generate the opportunity to reinvest that. That impact will flow far beyond Boston. Of course, this is fundamental for our neighborhoods, for our residents who are doing everything possible to hang on in our city and to try to stay and afford to live here. But we know Boston is the center of our economy statewide and across the region, and everything we do to stabilize our residents here is an investment in the economy of the entire Commonwealth and beyond, in a thriving community that can help supercharge our recovery and really ensure that we are making the most of building that society and economy that we deserve, that is equitable, that is inclusive, and that represents where we've always been trying to head, even pre-COVID. Every single day, our Office of Housing speaks with tenants who've been asked to leave their homes because their buildings are being sold. Children, seniors, single parents, families who have contributed so much to our city. This fee would generate tens of millions of dollars each year, creating housing safety and stability, allowing people to stay in their neighborhoods, to put down roots and watch them grow. Last year, if we had had this legislation in place already, we would have more than doubled Boston's affordable housing funding and ability to help families. The new provisions in this legislation, thank you, City Council, will nearly double the number of senior homeowners eligible for our exemptions to property taxes, and therefore ease that burden to stay after you have built so much in this city already. So we are hopeful and determined that working with state partners, we will seize on recognizing the urgency and the need to act on solutions to keep our families housed. So thank you so much to our advocates, organizers, and colleagues, and I look forward to and thank Representative Fluker Oakley, who will be bringing this up and quarterbacking this for us up at the House, and we will do whatever it takes in the weeks ahead to make this happen. Ok, gracias a todos, especialmente los vecinos aquí en la Foley Apartments y el Patrick Lee en Trinity por tenernos aquí hoy, y el Consejo Municipal, especialmente por su voto el miércoles en esta legislación. Esto es un paso importante para hacer de Boston una ciudad en la que cumplamos nuestra promesa de que la vivienda segura, sana y asequible es un derecho humano para todos. El voto de miércoles es una afirmación de esa creencia y también un encargo para que hagamos más y mejor por todos nuestros residentes. Tenemos que actuar con urgencia. Demasiados residentes siguen luchando por la pandemia y la vivienda es una de las principales preocupaciones en la ciudad entera. Este es el momento de asegurar recursos sostenibles y a largo plazo para la vivienda asequible en Boston. Todos los días, la Oficina de Vivienda de Chief Dillon y la Oficina de Vivienda Justa habla con inquilinos que se tienen que mudar porque se vendió el edificio donde viven. Esta tasa generaría millones cada año, creando seguridad y estabilidad en la vivienda, permitiendo a la gente permanecer en sus vecindarios. El año pasado, esa tasa habría duplicado el dinero destinado a la vivienda asequible en Boston. Tenemos la esperanza de que los líderes estatales reconozcan la necesidad de actuar con soluciones que nos ayuden a mantener a las familias con vivienda. Entonces, gracias a los activistas, organizadores y mis colegas, y gracias a la representante Fluker Oakley por presentar esta propuesta en la Casa Estatal. Espero que trabajemos juntos en las próximas semanas para hacer lo necesario para que la vivienda segura y asequible sea una realidad en Boston. Okay, I will pass this over now to State Rep Brandy Fluker Oakley.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. Thank you to the city councilors for their leadership on this particular issue. In the city of Boston, I represent Dorchester, Hyde Park, and Mattapan, where we are today, my hometown. This is actually where my civic association used to meet prior to the pandemic, so it's good to be back in the building and see so many wonderful faces. I am grateful that the City Council and the Mayor has taken this step to ensure not only affordable housing throughout the City of Boston, but to make sure that we are taking care of our seniors. I also want to particularly thank my sister in service, Lydia Edwards, for all her years championing this issue in the City Council and for being the advocate. I know she will be in the Senate. With this particular bill. You all know the problem. This is almost like preaching to the choir. The city of Boston is very expensive to live. In fact, we are in the top 3 markets just behind New York City and San Francisco. And when we think about how much it costs to live in this city, when we think about our current property tax, which is regressive, meaning it impacts everybody in the same way despite their economic situations, we're not doing service to the community members who have owned their homes for decades and have made the communities desirable for others to want to come into it. And as such, we have to do our part to make sure that we are looking out for our seniors. Growing up in this community, I think about Miss Rose right down the street who has a garden that one day I hope she enters your competition, Madam Mayor, for the beauty that's in it. I think about the candy lady growing up who always took care of us to make sure we had treats and a safe space to go. I think about my own mother who bought her home in 1985 and just turned 70 yesterday, and how she's on a fixed income and how having this support to make sure that she can stay in the house that she built for us and provided a home, and that so many other seniors across our great city have done the exact same thing. This is the time for this to happen. As the mayor said, we cannot just kick the can down the line. We cannot sit idly by and just squeeze and penalize our longtime neighboring homeowners and tenants. Equity, as you all know, is really, really important. And because of the structural racism that is built into our system, when one group faces something, it is felt even more acutely by Black and brown communities. It is often said that Black and brown communities are cash poor and house rich, because research shows that when it comes to purchasing a home, Black and brown homeowners put their entire nest egg into it, and that is how they are going to build and sustain their families. Which means that when we do this home rule, and I'm claiming we're going to get this done with the support of all my colleagues standing here, when we do get this done, it is going to be good for every single member of our age-strong community, all the way as far north as East Boston down to the north end, hitting Roxbury, Dorchester, Hyde Park, Rosendale, and coming all the way south to Mattapan as well. Everyone wins in this situation, which is why I know the time is now. Our seniors have long taken care of us, and it's our turn to take care of them. And that, thank you. And that's exactly what this bill does. We can be more progressive in the way we do taxing in this city and make sure that we are taking care of business. As the mayor mentioned, it is a small number of transactions that this would affect, and the dividends would be a return on investment that we can't even imagine. But we have actually imagined what we can do with those dividends. And in fact, we can expand our current senior tax exemptions as a result. This helps to offer a remedy for displacement when there are those new developments coming in and those luxury apartments, that those who built the community can stay in the community. It also raises the income limit, expands eligibility, and provides for more new affordable housing. It truly is a pity and a shame when you are a young person who's grown up in the city of Boston and you can't even afford to live in the city that cultivated you. We need these dollars. We need this investment. This is a strategy that will impact our community in the best way possible for generations to come, and I remain grateful for the mayor's leadership, for City Council. I'm honored to lead this at the State House, and I look forward to everyone's support to make sure we get this done for our community. Thank you so much.
Okay. I'm just checking my watch because I know some folks have time constraints in the speaking program. So just to give a quick highlight, given those time constraints, we're going to pass it over to someone who has been a lead sponsor of this, a proponent, and who is going to also, who has shepherded this through in previous sessions and will do so from the Senate now. Councilor Edwards is going to go next. Then we'll go to the chair of the Government Operations Committee, and Councilor Arroyo, I know, has a time commitment. So then Councilor Arroyo, and then the chair of our Housing Committee, Councilor Lara, and then I will make it to each one of our state representatives after that too. And I want to invite up, I'll invite up Ms. Hardaway, representing our Neighborhood Housing Trust. Councilor Edwards.
Thank you very much. It It's an honor to be here. I mean, this is our second time to the advocates. I think the last time we gathered together when we introduced the first version of the transfer fee was in 2019. We were in Chinatown, and many of the folks from CPA are here today. Thank you again for your stalwart support. And we were there together. We had a different mayor. We were sitting there, and we were so hopeful about how we could finally get this done. We knew that it made the most fiscal sense. It cost the state nothing. Here's the thing, it costs the state nothing, but it's going to give us everything in terms of our return on our investment, not just for our seniors who have done so much for our community, but also in terms of the Neighborhood Housing Trust and the ideas of our seniors and our elders who are in the city council who helped to set that up. You know, we have to think about Bruce Bowling. You know, bring him into this room because he came up with the Neighborhood Housing Trust. He came up with linkage. He came up with this idea that we together, as we build, can build wealth as a city and keep that and then redistribute it. So let's bring him into this room. I want to thank Representative Fluker Oakley for her leadership and for her being part of this conversation and getting it done in the House, because I'm going to speak that into truth as well. Because this, at the end of the day, it's going to take every single one of us to do this, to get it done. So what are we going to get done? And I really want to also make sure that we're very clear about how we frame this. This is not a tax. This is housing stability. This is an anti-displacement home rule petition that allows the city of Boston to have the tools that it needs to raise the money that it needs to do, but also protect the seniors. That is what this ultimately is. This is about housing stability. And I'm so incredibly excited about that innovative approach to this. Because when we add in the seniors and we add in a tax break, if you will, for our seniors, we've made sure that the conversation was broader and brought more people to the table. I want people to also understand that this is something developers want as well. I know you saw on the Globe and you'll see in other places that there's people who represent certain special interest groups. Trust and believe, they're the first ones in line at the Neighborhood Housing Trust that I sit on. They're the first ones there. We have some here today who want access to these funds because they want to build affordable housing. And they need the money in the housing trust that this will raise in order to build it. It is cyclical. This is about the housing economy for the future. This is about making sure that we have the funds that we need, regardless of whether the federal government invests in us or not. And it is sad, because if we had that money, $100 million, during a pandemic, you can think of the people we could have saved, the housing that we could have saved. I think about the money right now as we're raising on a GoFundMe $40,000 for the 25 people who are displaced in the fire in East Boston. That's what we're doing right now, GoFundMe, when we could just go ahead and do this transfer fee. So I'm ready to get to work. I'm excited to get this done, and I'm so excited to work with my colleagues in the House and the City Council and the Senate. I got 3, right? I got 3 right now because I got 2 jobs. But for now, I'll be doing everything I can to get this done, and thank you so much.
Good morning, everybody. I just want to thank everybody for their work on this, the advocates who have been on this, Councilor Edwards and State Senator Edwards for her leadership in proposing this several years ago, and Mayor Wu for her leadership in making sure that this was the first, I believe the first home rule petition that she sent to us to take care of, and the rest of my colleagues who are helping to push this forward. We know in the city of Boston that housing is the issue. It's been the issue for over a decade now. And we're seeing the impacts of that in displacement, which Rep. Fluker Oakley made very clear, due to equity, due to built-in systemic problems, has impacted communities of color in a way that it hasn't impacted all communities. But it's also impacted folks who don't have enough. We know that housing is a human right. It is not a privilege. It should not be a privilege. But for too many in this city, it's something out of reach. And we know that the work that we've done, even in situations like Mass and Cass, where we've been giving people housing and a place to stay, has been transformative already in those lives. This is transformative. This is the kind of thing that creates transformative, permanent long-term change. This is the difference between somebody having a place to live and raise a family and attend our schools and go to our parks and be a part of our community, and the difference between being stripped away from all of the things and places and people that they've been raised around and things that they've learned to appreciate about being in the city of Boston. This is impactful. I look forward to seeing this through. The urgency with which we move this hopefully serves for the House and the governor, who has had his reservations, an indication of what the importance of this is and what this means to the city of Boston and the people in the city of Boston who have been elected to lead on these issues, what this reflects for the priorities of the city, what this reflects for the need, and what this reflects for a solution, because we are often talking about this issue like there are no solutions. We know there's no one silver bullet solution, but we do know that this is a major aspect of getting our housing in a place where people can now live and stay in the city. And so I am grateful for everyone for their work on this. I look forward to continuing to work on this. I know our work is not done, and I look forward to supporting the legislature as they move this forward. So thank you, everybody, and thank you to Lydia Edwards and Michelle Wu for moving this forward in the fashion that you have.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kendra Lara, and I am your new Housing and Community Development Chair on the City Council. I have the great privilege to live in the legacy of all of the councilors who have come before me, who have been housing champions on the City Council and at the State House, and I'm really grateful and honored. As one of the only renters on the City Council and as somebody who has been on the other side of all of the housing struggles in the city, it's a great honor for me to represent that struggle on the City Council and to be able to move this kind of policy forward to ensure that all of the people in our neighborhoods and all of our seniors in our city are protected. This is a celebratory moment for me for all of those reasons. And I think that implementing this transfer fee and expanding the senior property tax exemption is going to make sure that we have the financial resources to build and maintain affordable housing. It's going to protect our seniors who have dedicated their lives to our city and to our neighborhoods by ensuring that the rising cost of living doesn't overburden them. But this isn't just about securing financial resources. It's about asking the people who seek to profit from the dynamic communities that our residents have built to be good neighbors, to pay their fair share so that you get to benefit from the fruits of your labor. We have built our neighborhoods up to be the coveted communities that they are today. We can make sure that every community garden, the festivals that you've planned, and every single meeting that you have held is not in vain. I want to say thank you to Mayor Wu for offering these petitions and to my colleagues on the council for ensuring that this made it to the State House. I look forward to working with Representative Fluker Oakley and everybody else in Beacon Hill to make sure that we can get this done. Thank you.
Do any of the reps have time constraints? Or you're good. Okay, then let's go down. We'll just go straight down the line here, starting with Rep. Liz Miranda, then Rep. Nika Alugardo, then Rep. Rob Consalvo.
Good morning, everyone. I was remarkable when I walked in the room just looking at this diverse tapestry of your leadership in the city and just saying how proud I am to work with all of you guys. So I'm a Roxbury girl, grew up in the Dudley Triangle, and most people know the stories, I see Karen Chana, about what it's like to grow up in a neighborhood that went through so much environmental injustice. And believing that one day I'd be able to buy a home in my community that I love so much. When we talk about housing and the fact that so many people, whether they're young adults or starting a family, or just coming back from graduating from school or a senior, not being able to buy a home in the neighborhood that they love, it's actually emotionally violent. Every day I hear from people that can't afford to stay in Boston. They're buying or trying to rent in Brockton and New Bedford, as far as Taunton. And I keep asking myself, how far will people have to go before we make sure that they have the ability to afford a home in Boston or afford to stay in their home. My grandfather bought his house in '77 in Roxbury, and 2 years ago I was able to purchase that home from my parents. I know the struggles with taxes because my parents would send me the bill and say, you know, this is too damn high. We can't afford, because Roxbury, living near South Bay, we saw the taxes keep going up and keep going up. And as people who were on Social Security or on disability or working in industries like many of the people in my community where they're not making even enough to survive and they're thinking about buying food or paying bills or paying taxes, it was incredibly important for me to buy that home to show other people in my neighborhood that we can remain and we are worthy and enough and we belong to. This city is not just a city for people who are entering these amazing industries. They're a city for the people who also have deep roots and have made this city home. So I am looking forward to being a running back along with my colleagues, with this quarterback here. When people are united, that's definitely the defense.
I know I'm the fullback.
I run fast, so I'm taking it to the line. And when people are united in a common goal to create the greatest good for the city, it will get done. And so I just want to say to the champions that have come before, I'm looking so forward to working with Senator Edwards. You do have 2 jobs. You're like, it's exciting to feel that way. But today's a good day, and we just always have to celebrate these moments because there's always more work to do. Right? We're never going to solve the housing crisis in a day or a month or a year, but this is the right step forward. There's the money, there's the people building in our city, and our seniors and all of our residents of our city deserve to use that money wisely and appropriately to continue to build the type of housing that keeps people in their homes, but also keeps people in the city that we love so much. So thank you all. It's been great to be with you this morning.
Thank you first and foremost to the residents for hosting us today. So grateful to be here. And thank you to Mayor Wu and your administration for your creativity. And Senator, Councilor, fantastic Lydia Edwards, sister in service. We are so excited to have leadership that recognizes that we don't have to choose between affordable housing and protecting our most vulnerable property owners. It's been so long that we have led out of a space of scarcity, can't do, don't know how to do, impossible, and it's because the people in those leadership positions are not experiencing the urgency. Like my sisters in service have described, I myself too experienced multiple evictions as a child, multiple moves as a result of housing insecurity as an adult. And as we grow older and we step into these positions of power, or some of us while younger, like Councilor Wu, now Mayor, we're able to demonstrate that the power of urgency goes beyond just knowing that the need is now. It goes into the creativity of solutions that work. And so I'm super grateful for the ways that you and your team have incorporated protections for our elders, protections for our families that have transactions with each other. And as Senator Eldridge said, it's smart, it brings more people to the table, it's also what works. It's also the systemic solution to a systemic inequity. Because not only are you taking the opportunity to get the money in, you're making sure that the people who have already made those investments, that the return on their investment is protected, and protecting our elders and protecting our families that seek to pass on generational wealth. So I'm very excited. I'll play whatever position is left. My preference is, I want to throw up some blocks for our quarterback. That's what I like to do. And then she can make that pass, and we'll get it over the finish line. Or I guess we have to say the goal line. End zone, that's the word I'm looking for. See, I always need help. It takes a village. And so, everybody said what needs to be said, but I want to offer again my heartfelt thanks, but also our encouragement to keep going. Because this is not the beginning of something, this is the middle of something. We've been working on it for decades. I've spoken to many of my colleagues who have filed similar home rule petitions from their districts, including Dylan Fernandez from Nantucket, the representative, who has been filing this, I think, for more than 10 years. And Boston, now that we have such strong leadership that has emerged over these last few years and is at its pinnacle, I think, with the Mayor Wu administration, we can support not only our needs in Boston, but we can support the needs across the state and be a role model for that. So thank you, thank all of you, and thank ourselves, because we got work to do, but we've done good work up to now.
So I love going last, because that means I can talk the longest. and I've got a lot to say today, so get ready. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just so glad to be here. I want to thank the mayor and the city council for taking this on. As a former city councilor, I so respect the work that the Boston City Council does and this issue today. I'm excited to be here to support this. I think the time is now. This is something we need to do to give the city of Boston the tools that they need to continue to be able to raise the revenue to address this issue. I think they're two of the greatest issues facing our city and our Commonwealth. It's housing and it's helping our seniors. And I think we need to do more to help our seniors every single day. And so I'm proud to be a member of the Housing Committee. I'm proud to be a member of the Revenue Committee. So one of these two committees is going to get this bill, and I'm excited to be a part of this team and this process, whatever committee it goes to help get this done. And, you know, I've had a 30-year career in government, and I've always said that public service in government is about two things. It's about helping people, and it's about making a difference in the lives of others. And this legislation and this bill, and when it passes and what will come from this, does exactly that. And that's why we're here in government, is to make sure we're helping people and making a difference in the lives of others. So we want to give our city and our mayor and our great housing chief, the best in the country, Sheila Dillon, the tools they need and the resources they need to get the job done. So look forward to, I guess I'm the fullback, right? Because we've got a wide receiver, a quarterback, a running back, the fullback, and I think I was called old, right? Someone said, didn't you say we're the oldest people here? So, all right. So we got a great team here that's going to get this done. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Two more voices. Okay, I want to make sure I've covered all our elected officials. I want to bring up Ms. Hardaway. Ms. Catherine Hardaway is president of the Neighborhood Housing Trust, which is the entity that helps the city really distribute and allocate these much desperately needed dollars. So just to say a few words.
Good morning, or is it afternoon now? I'm not sure. But thank you. Thank you for inviting me to say a few words, and I will just say a few words. I've done many things throughout my career. My last job was being CEO of Central Boston Elder Services. But no job, and to me this is not a job, this is something that gives me joy, is being the president of the Neighborhood Housing Trust. Because I always thought, I grew up on a farm in South Carolina and worked on that farm and had that experience, and then came here when I was, sorry about my phone, just ignore it. I don't know if that's saying something to me, but in any event, thank you, Sheila. But in any event, I think, you know, throughout my life, even being a kid, I grew up in a single-family home, my mom and my two brothers and sisters, but I always wanted to make a difference. I always thought, even when I was younger, if I could ever, as I grew up, that I wanted to do something that would help others. And so I've spent the majority of my life doing that, predominantly working with elders. But second to that is the housing issue. And, you know, I feel blessed to be a part of being able to make a difference in someone's life. When I go home at night, I have a bed. My kids have beds to sleep in. That's not the case for everybody. And I think we all, you know, struggle in life different ways. But there's something about reaching back and making sure that as you were blessed, that you reach back to help and bless someone else. Because you never know what someone is going through. You know, people have issues. Some people have no homes, but you would never know it. There was one of the things one of my colleagues told me from one of the agencies like mine. She said that, you know, she had a staff person that would come to work. They found out that she was coming to work early every day so that she could wash up in the bathroom, put her clothes on, and then come into the job. She had no place to live. And no one should not have a place to lay their head. And that's what housing is all about. And we can't give up. We have to fight the good fight, and we have to make a difference and work hard to change that. And I think that the Neighborhood Housing Trust has been able to do that. And that's why I'm proud to be a part of the Housing Trust, being able to develop homes that people have a bed to lay their head in. And so I thank, I've worked with Sheila for many years. Mayor Wu, it's a pleasure to now be able to work on the housing with you. We're going to do some good stuff. This is an issue that's very close to my heart. And so I thank Sheila and her staff for all the support they give the trust. And we're going to try to make things speed up and do as much as we can to help resolve that problem. But the hole is so big, you know, the need, you chip away and then it just keeps growing. But we can't give up. We have to pray and we got to get there. So thank you, Sheila, and thank you, Mayor Wu.
So now I'd like to invite up Ms. Woods. We are here to sign this football and hike it over to to Rep Fluker Oakley here, but I want to make sure the last voice that we hear from before we sign this home rule petition, it will be of Ms. Lorelei Woods, a resident of the Foley Apartments here.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. My name is Lorelei Woods, and it's a pleasure to have the mayor and her constituents in our place, the Foley residents. I am here at the Foley 14 years. I've enjoyed it. I wouldn't be another place. I am also a member of the CAB, Community Advisory Board. And thank you all for coming.
That's right. Oh. It's a new pen.
Lydia, definitely.
This one's going over. This one's going over. It's just so, it's so clear. Yep.
Thanks for the
Oh, sure. Thursday. We're announcing Thursday.